Gundam.tk presents MG Heavyarms. Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert184, 2 R's 2 B's, GundamReviews.net, and today I couldn't be happier to bring you my review of the Master Grade Heavyarms. This is from Endless Waltz, but it's the previous version, which I'll explain in a moment, and it's very exciting to have this kit in Master Grade form. This was first released in January 2012. For the price you can see there, 3,800 yen. Here's the name bar, and of course, this whole thing is made by Bandai. Even though in the past I've said I'm not so interested in picking up the EW kits, with this one, it's Heavyarms, it's orange, and it's Master Grade, and that is enough for me. To the box tour, where hopefully you'll understand a little bit more of why I'd want to pick this up, because just from the sheer visuals, orange and red, even though I'm not so crazy about the cover art, when you see it all here with all the weapons closed up, I think it looks fantastic, especially with that huge beam Gatling gun. Orange and red you wouldn't think would work, but it somehow does, and the blue there on the chest is just helping bring this guy alive. From the back you can see that it's got a cool looking backpack there, it looks like a pod, and a very cool looking belt. I look forward to seeing how that works out in 3D form, and then it's going to have a list of all the features. This is talking about the Endless Waltz anime, which I'll talk about in a moment, and we can see some of the features there, from the Gatling gun to the army knife, which is going to attach onto the wrist and go back. He's also going to have a hidden beam saber inside his arm, which is cool. You're going to have the weapons there, a very tiny shield, almost inconsequential. You're going to have a very small number 3 Troa Barton, and all sorts of Katoki Hajime decals if you want to put those all around. To the other side, which is more focused on selling Endless Waltz than it is the actual model itself, but I think the whole boy band there, all 5 of them, you can see the wing and the Sandrock, the Death Scythe, and more, and now the 5th one, we have the Heavyarms to complete the whole set. All 5 in Master Grade is probably something that people have been dreaming about for about 15 years, although it may not necessarily be this form that people were looking for. Endless Waltz was a very popular OVA that then got a movie version, and this came after the very popular anime, which had 50 or so episodes where we got to see most of the Gundams, the whole 5 of them. Often they got upgrades, except for the Heavyarms and the Sandrock, which makes this whole thing a little bit confusing. So basically, if you think about it, in the anime we had Wing, and then we had Wing Zero, and then in Endless Waltz we had Wing Zero with feathery angel wings. So what they decided to do is that if you call that version 1 and version 2, and the EW custom being EW version 2, then they went back and they handed out this pamphlet, and this pamphlet was done by Katoki Hajime, where he drew all their early types. So these are the predecessor suits for what you've seen animated in Endless Waltz. So if you've never seen these animated, there's a reason for that, and basically, hey, just like with Endless Waltz itself, it's an excuse that they can go and sell more models, even though this one is just going to be a recolor into its very similar to TV colors of what we saw in the OVA. But rather than focusing on the whole EW conundrum, let's get inside the box, where you've got a great A-plate, some seals there, white, gray, red, gray, a little plate of white, some polycaps in there, more polycaps, Gatling gun gray, more gray, a whole lot of gray for the inner frame to go along with the very sharp-looking manual. Onto the manual, where one of my few complaints is that I'm just not crazy about that cover art. I think they could have done a better job of it. It's great that it's showing it with all of its weapons deployed. However, you just sort of lose sight of the very cool color scheme, and I'm happier just with that side shot, or the front shot that we got to see on the side of the box. But I digress, and when you go inside, you're going to get a whole bunch of information that, if you wanted to read it, could explain things a lot better than I could in terms of everything. But the basic thing here is that here's the TV series design, and it's going to show the wing and the Death Scythe and the Heavyarms, which has that focus around it. And down here you're going to have the Katoki Hajime design. So this is the Endless Waltz. These are their first forms in the anime. These are their first forms that were never animated and now are going to be showing up in the manga. And you can also go through and talk about the story playback. And at the bottom they focus on the pilot, Troa Barton. There you can see him in his anime form, and they're going to show some pictures from the anime. And there's some cells from the anime. This is with the Heavyarms custom, the green one that'll be coming out in the future. And there, his hair is equally ridiculous no matter which universe he's in. To the inside of the manual, and you can just see from the plate layout that there's a whole bunch of empty space, so you can imagine that the D plate is going to get filled in, as will the B, and things will just be quite different in the future. So you can see A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and those small H2 and I plate to go along with those 2 plates of the XXXG frame, which is all looking cool. They tell you how to cut things off and order parts if you're living in Japan. And then once you go inside, you're going to build the body and the head. And I always like it when they do the manual this style. They're going to show you the part before you actually put it together. It would be nice if they actually showed you which plates to do, but they don't do that all the time. After you've built up the upper body, you can go inside for some fantastic color spreadsheets here, or splash pages here, including you have Troa fighting in this one up against the Tall Geese, which is looking great. Then they're going to be advertising both the manga that's come out recently and the novel series, which takes place much after the anime, and you can catch up on your favorite heroes and villains after the fact. To the inside, where you can see Troa standing there in his heavy arms in a very Troa-ish pose, which is looking great. You can see the illustration by Katoki Hajime. But here's the most important stuff. It's all of those missile pods being open, and I hope you can make them all out there. Here they're talking about how in the anime he was able to pull a beam saber out of his arm, so it's cool that they've recreated that, even in the EW form. But here's the most important thing. You've got these missile pods opening up on the legs. They are going to be 2 panels opening up and then 1 panel down below. And over here, you're going to have all of these missiles, and these have been painted up by a pro. And you'll notice that when we go through the plates, that it's gray on gray, so you won't actually see any differentiation there. But because they are on separate sprues, it's very easy just to take some silver spray paint or whatever, paint those up in gray and then insert them in, and then everything is going to look fantastic when you open it up. And when you see those details there, Soundwave's got nothing on that chest. It's cool that you can take the beam Gatling gun and actually attach it onto the backpack if you wanted to go close combat style. And it looks like the backpack, the mount armor, can actually move 90 degrees, which is impressive. But the most impressive thing has to be, there's got to be a lot of people with all 5 of them. And for anybody who's got them all on display, I salute you. The rest of the manual is straightforward with building the waist and the legs. And once you've done that and the backpack, then you can build up all the weapons. And I'm talking about the army knife, the shield, and the Gatling gun. The shield isn't really weapons, I suppose, but it's still cool that it's made out of 2 pieces, and it's great to see that much detail on the gray inner frame, if you want to call it that. We've had too many monocolor shields in Gundams, and it's great that they don't have that problem here. Here they're going to show you how to attach everything and how to hold it, and you can swap the manipulators on and off. They're also going to show you if you want to take the arm out, that you can put the beam saber in there, or you can actually attach it into the hand. And there you go, you just put the shield on. Very, very simple. And the rest of the manual is going to be showing you where to put on the 546 decals that are included. And then on the back, we're going to have a color paint guide here. They're going to talk about the backpacks. If you want to do this stuff, you can do some of the weapons in Midnight Blue. It's talking about with black 20%. And you can really make this guy look sharp. You also have a back view. And if you just want to be lazy, $2 lining marker. And where you have just a pretty much white and bland face there, you can add in the lining because they're going to give you nice lining opportunities and make it look fantastic. And of course, Warhammer fans, you can paint up those little tiny Troa Bartons. I'm going to wrap up the first part of the unbox there just because there's so much to talk about here with the whole Endless Waltz world, and that manual, I have to say, is looking fantastic. So much color, so many story details, and it's just a lot of fun to go through that. And you can't help but imagine all of these things, including Tall Geese, is existing in master grade form and recreating all of those scenes on your shelf. Anyway, everybody, stay tuned for the next part where I'll go through the plates in detail and I'll talk about the green ones as well and what we could be seeing in the future. But in the meantime, what do you think of this so far? Does it live up to the standards of a version KA kit? And how does it stack up compared to some of the other EW kits? I haven't built very many, so I'd love to hear what you think. And with a comment down below, it would be greatly appreciated. But stay tuned for the next part, and then, of course, for this whole thing to get put together. Thanks for watching, everybody. Robert184. Who needs to hide all their weapons? If you show them all off, nobody's going to attack you in the first place.